Hello, we are live, I believe. Thank you everybody for hopping on today. I have something really different and kind of exciting to share. So you can see I am sharing my screen. Actually, for the time being, I'm going to just talk to you and explain what we're doing today. I have been watching a video by the wonderful Latasha James on her video editing and how she does it. And she quite literally sat with share screen on and recorded kind of with us and showed us what she did and let us ask questions. And I wanted to give you all the opportunity to do the same. So I'm going to share my screen and go through a little bit of work for my own brand and what we do and how I make decisions on what content to create. We're going to be at least making an email send out and discussing a little bit around social media as well. So for all of you who ask, like, how do you come up with these ideas? Like, how do you know what you should be posting and what you should be saying and doing? This is how. So I'm just going to start my share then. I'm afraid I will become tiny when that happens. And what I've got on the screen right now is a calendar view. So I would recommend for everybody that this is where you kind of start. Now, this one's a bit of a mess because it's just thrown together for you to roughly see without sharing any details of what we've got coming up in the next few weeks and months. But what I do here is, personally, I use Asana, but any calendar view would work. For example, we've got a content calendar template that we give out that just has your bog standard spreadsheet that you can write in and put key dates in. And when I start this process, I will scroll forward to an empty month. Let's pretend like this is December. When I'm looking at this, I think about a few things that are coming up. So say there is any key dates, like this month there is Christmas, there is New Year's, there's all these sorts of things happening. Within that, I try to block out those dates. So you would go here and start popping out like Christmas posts. You would also want to include any details of any content that you've got coming up. So if you run a monthly podcast, for example, or you send out a weekly blog, or even you post YouTube videos, you want to include those. So I'm going to fill in those gaps here. And this is exactly what I would do for the beginning of any month. So I tend to post on YouTube every other weekend. And when I first start, I keep it really blank. I keep it blank and empty. I just pop in kind of the thing, what it will be. So I just say podcast, YouTube video, podcast, so that I know that things need to go out when. Each of these are going to have their own post to go with them. And again, I would fill that out as such. And the benefit with using a system like Asana is that you can then open those out. So I could open this out, I could update the title of the video. Oh, that's not how you spell that. And I would start to put the description. So for a video, I can kind of put down my notes of what I want to cover. So I can say intro. I can say it's top 5 email marketing tips, for example, which is one of the videos that I did recently. I can be like, number 1 is to control your audience, and go through this process and just kind of fill out what they actually are, so that I've got the details there. When it comes to a social post, you can do the same. So you can say new YouTube video just went live. And the benefit of, again, using systems like this is that you could bounce to and from and pull the details from the previous element, and you can even add links and images. So I will quite often have links and images in here. And I just work through this process until things become full. So I also know that every once a month we do email marketing, and I start to fill in the gaps then of what these need to be. So if I go back up to this previous month where we actually have some content in here, here we go. You can open out these pieces of content for further explanation. And then it gets to a point where you can just copy and paste this to the place that you need to go. So that's actually where we're going to start this week. One of the things that I need to do is an email send out, and there will be social media posts matching, talking about how Christmas is coming and how Christmas usually means that we're all going to have terrible engagement. So what I wanted to do was show you my calendar and how I kind of know what's coming up, but then how I actually create as well. So over here, I have a breakdown of this template. So this is available for everybody. If you wanted a little template, we use them regularly for our own clients. We put key dates on here. And what I've also added for our own is a very casual breakdown of kind of strategies and hashtag, that sort of thing. So this is obviously a really deep insight into what we do and who we're working with. Now, I would recommend that you formalize yours much more than this. This is a little bit more of a to-do list type option that we keep saying who we work with and what we do. So if you are a nail company that sells online, like you sell e-commerce press-ons, you need to be outlining kind of who you're going to be working with from your ideal customer element. You want to be working out what you need to be doing for social media for them. And that's where some of this key information comes from. That's how I decided that we're going to be posting YouTube videos and podcasts and email marketing, is to suit my ideal customer. We also have a hashtag strategy document. Of course, the one we have for ourselves is a lot messier than the ones we have for our clients. But we break down a few different key topics that we want to be considered ranked on, and include those in a document so you don't have to try and think of them on the spot. And then I develop content separately. So this is actually what we're working on right now. This is the content that's going out live. And we break it down into types. So this is your other option. If you didn't want to work on Asana, you wanted to work on a sort of calendar view that is more of a spreadsheet. But for today, I'm going to move on from social media and talk about email marketing. Then that's my activity that I need to get done today, right? So how do I do it? If you have any questions as you're watching this, please feel free to send them in. I've got StreamYard open, so any comments and questions should come up and let me see them. And don't forget as well that you can find out more information on these schedules and things that I'm talking about on reddigital-events.com's website. If you look at our blog section, there is lots of free resources in there. Okay, so back to creating an email. I personally use MailerLite. That is my preferred platform. So what I will do is just create a campaign and make it fit our branding with this key detail. So I've already planned out some of what I'm going to say in it. So it's really hard for me to type and speak at the same time. So I might go a little bit quiet while I'm doing this bit and filling these out. So on email marketing, the subject line is always like one of the most important things you can do, right? So initially I'm going to just chuck any old thing in here to fill the gap. But I will come back and edit that probably. That tends to be my preferred workflow, is to kind of get something down, get it done, and then perfect it later. So probably going to want to be a little bit dramatic here. We want people to be opening this, right? So we want to get their attention. So I'm going to be like, warning, and we're going to give them a nice like warning sign if I can as well. Here you go. Here we go. Now, I've done a couple of tests And it actually shows that sending it from the company name is more beneficial in our case. That is not usually the case. It's ordinarily that personalized, like it being from Bethan instead of it being from the company would be better. But we A/B tested it like 5 times actually, because I didn't quite believe it. And it turned out that that's not the case for us. And then when I send out Mailshots, I prefer to use a drag and drop editor rather than a rich text, because you can design it a little bit nicer. You can make it a bit prettier. We have this preloaded to already have our logo in here. And the rest of this is like your bog standard template that MailerLite will create for you for anything that's blank. So what I'm going to do is just kind of fill out the details as I go and delete what I think I don't need. So I'm going to start off with the content that I've got from here. So I need like this box up higher. I need a text box basically. So I'm just going to drag these up, you know. It's a little bit finicky to do it, but I'm going to just dump all my text in here and start moving around. So this could be our heading. Christmas is coming, which means terrible engagement. It's not wrong. Christmas is obviously a great time of year, but for social media performance, you will see a struggle. You will see people spending less time looking at especially branded content on social media. If they're posting anything, they're posting and talking to their friends. Okay, looking at this again, that's not really going to work there. So how about we put Christmas is coming as the heading, and add our little like which means terrible engagement in here. Now these are a little bit too different for me, so I am just gonna like edit them slightly. So I want the text to be black. I want the font size to be slightly bigger. Maybe I don't want it bolded. Yeah, there you go. Christmas is coming, which means terrible engagement. I'm also going to change the font because we don't tend to use pop-ins. We try and keep consistent with the same text type. We use Helvetica and Barlow, but I don't believe Barlow is, yeah, only the condensed version, which is a little bit ugly. So we'll stick to Helvetica. Then I don't really need a picture here, honestly. I don't really need an icon. But what I do need is less white space between these things. So I'm just going to mess with my setup here. Okay, it's in the text. And I wrote this content, and usually when I write content, it's quick, and it's something that I'm doing when I'm doing 3 other things. So it just needs a quick spell check. So we have Grammarly enabled. Spell checks are done for all of our client work. Anything would be done on Word document first, so that there's a pre one. And then I will do a secondary one, or whoever's managing the account will do a secondary one live on the platform like this, just to make sure. Of course, sometimes you have those awkward things where it doesn't get picked up by a spelling and grammar check because it's technically a word, and there'll always be things that seem to slip through the net once in a blue moon. But we try to doubly protect against it. So I'm just messing around with the spacing a little bit. I feel like it seems like a lot of text, but I don't love the way it's broken down on here. It looks a little bit close together. It might just be as well the kind of snap from central alignment to middle alignment. Let's see what this looks like. Hate it. Too much text again to be center aligned. Okay, so I'm gonna kind of remove some elements that I don't think are crucial. And one thing that I find happens, so you can see on here, I'm trying to add spaces in, right? And it's a bit glitchy. So what I tend to do is actually just like add it in manually. So I don't know much HTML, but I do know some styling. So if you just put BR, that means line break. So P is a new paragraph, and BR is like an additional line break. So that extra white space in between is what BR has created. That is much better for me. We just need to make sure now that the text is the right font. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. And I want to put some resources in here. So this is the basis of a social media post that I'm going to be putting out. But considering that it's email, I want to have a little bit more like meat on the bones, I guess. So I do want to look at some social media analytics over Christmas. And get a little bit of a source, get some ideas, some inspiration of how we can increase that. And I'm just going to open a bunch of these and see which ones are beneficial. See if there's anything in images. Okay. I'm looking as well at like the links. So there's a few different places that I really like to see, that I really like to see feedback from. And that's places actually like that are built for marketers. So Hootsuite, Sprout Social, the Social Media Examiner, Social Media Labs are all really great resources and reliable resources, where these people don't just say it, they also are being true. So we're going to search for something in the blog about Christmas. Let's see what comes up. Doesn't seem to be an awful lot in here, if I'm honest. That's really surprising to me because this is usually my go-to resource that I tell people to look for. Okay, so let's see. Let's have a look at our other ones then. Medium is another really good one. This seems to be a little bit more about paid content. So PPC ads, and that is not what I'm talking about in my email. Okay, so as expected, this is basically saying that you see bigger costs in ads over Christmas. We know this, and although that is very interesting in its own right, it's not something that affects most of my audience. The majority of my audience are looking at the majority of my audience are looking at organic first. They maybe use PPC here and there, but it's not the prime location of their kind of strategy. Do people use social media during the holidays? Yes, but okay, here we go. It says Thanksgiving Day and New Year's Day are the lowest quarter for people engaging with their posts, while Christmas Day is actually really high. That's really surprising for me. In the UK, obviously we don't have Thanksgiving, so that doesn't really impact our engagement. But Christmas does. We find that there's lower. Almost every year we've seen the same phenomenon. But that is the difficulty with a lot of these resources being American. Okay, this is talking about why you should post over. All right, not much luck there. So that's sometimes these things happen. You have to develop the content yourself. So the next thing that I would tend to do is add in some imagery. So I'm just going to pop the block in here so that it's a reminder for me to create. And I would tend to make this a little bit of a like infographic type of style. Just so that there is a little bit of something more visual. I am by no means a graphic designer. I'm not the best person for the job with this sort of stuff. But I do want something in there. So I'm writing a note for future self. Include a source. Okay, so the next thing I need to do is create my image. So I'm going to go into Canva, which is my image creation of choice, and I'm going to set up a blank document. Now, I would recommend if you're not comfortable or familiar with content creation, you always use a template, or if you see something that like particularly stands out to you as cute or kind of fitting what you're after. And ironically, this is almost perfect for me. The actual content is wrong, but like the design and the branding is pretty cool. It matches. I mean, my brand color is, I think, a shade or two darker. So I can kind of play around with this a little bit. I don't love these greens, if I'm honest. So I'm going to see, can I make it a bit less bluey? I do have, yeah, no, mine's too blue. I was going to say I do have a blue within my kind of content colors, but I don't think it would work here. Okay, and it's also a little busy for me, so I'm going to take away a couple of these elements too. I'm going to size down the holly because I want the focus to be the content, right? That is why I'm asking people to look at my email. So let me get rid of the agenda. I don't need that. I'm probably just going to need one text box. And in here, I want to include just a little like graph in some way, shape, or form. So what the data shows. And here we go. So I love a little pie chart. I think if we can put something along these lines within it, we can make it match our branding. There we go, that's a bit better. So this actually really bothers me. You can't edit the individual colors on a graph on Canva currently. I'm hoping that they're going to roll it out at some point, but it's not available yet. What happened there? Oh no, my design disappeared. Here we go. It's still post. And I actually think that those two segments are going to be enough for me and my audience. So I'm just going to include a little breakdown here of why you should still post. So these are the 3 sort of main reasons why I would say you should. Why doesn't it like that? Okay. Not loving the spacing at all. So this looks really cramped to me. I think the template may have condensed the line spacing a little bit more than we would like to see. Something like that. Now, I am by no means a designer, and I'm sure if Jordan ever, our internal graphic designer, ever sees this, he would be absolutely infuriated. Now, I still am not loving that pie chart. I don't think I'm ever going to be able to get the color quite right. So I might swap it out for manual like pie charts, which are a little bit more awkward to create on here. So let's see if we can just do some. We're going to just do a couple of these. And I'm going to try and keep searching after this live for stats around reach. And engagement are the 2 most important ones for me. I was going to include a third of like click-throughs and stuff, but I think realistically over Christmas time, we're not all looking for click-throughs. Like, we don't really want to be dealing with potential leads when we're not in the office. So I don't think that's maybe necessary on this case. I want to make sure these are exactly the same size. There you go. Okay. So yeah, it's just a case of kind of going away and finding that data. I will say the biggest thing that I would advise within email marketing especially is, like, before you do or send anything, ask what and why. Like, what is the benefit and why are you doing it? So to answer those questions on this piece, what am I giving? What is the benefit of this? Is a little bit of education for my reader, for my subscribers, so that they know that if they see decreased details over Christmas, it's not a bad thing. They're not doing something wrong all of a sudden, especially for those who are working really hard to build their audiences and maybe find that they hit December and all of a sudden their strategies don't work. I don't want them to throw that out and start again. And the why is, I feel that not only should we give people that heads up and not only should we educate the people within our network, I want to make sure our clients are informed. I want to make sure that they aren't then left looking at a report, really wondering and feeling disheartened in us and in their kind of results as well. So I really, really push for like over communication. I really push for sharing something if you know it. So this will go out to our mailing list, and that does include a like sub list of just all of our clients as well, to make sure that they don't hit January, see the December report and just feel like, oh no, at the start of a new year. So I hope that that's helpful. The only other thing that I can think to show is kind of how to send. Obviously, this still needs some edits. I need to input my picture and kind of go back and forth with that data. But one of the good things about MailerLite is that you can select your audiences really, really nicely. So I am going to show you what I mean. So we want all active subscribers except for this one sales group that I have within that I don't think will be interested. And under this, then this is your bog standard view, but you do have like advanced options. So if you wanted to send to a particular group, if you wanted them to be people who were only in specific time zones, or perhaps only signed up after a particular date or location, there is so much that you can do to outline exactly who your audience should be on email marketing. I think a lot of people don't use the groups and features efficiently. So although I am a big fan of email marketing, a lot of my customers that I speak to have quite a negative view on it, because I think that they don't fully understand like what exactly can be done and how you can target. So with that, I would say the other thing I always recommend is to send test emails. Like even if you think you've done it a million times over, you've reread everything, sending a test email to yourself and just having a little click through it, making sure all your links work correctly, that there's no typos, and having just a read over of it is really beneficial. And it saves the embarrassment, because especially with email marketing, it's not like social media where if you posted something and you delete it within a split second, like no one's seen it. With email marketing, once it's gone, it's gone. You can't call that back. You can only send it back out and apologize. Oh no, my mouse, I think, has died, so I'm going to have to use my laptop. You also ideally want Google Analytics on for your links, as long as you have that set up. But I somehow missed that at the first page. This served me right for trying to talk to you all while I'm trying to work. Here we go. And the final thing that you can do on MailerLite, which is really good for a free email marketing program, is you can decide whether to schedule it or whether to send it live. So a lot of this is often a paid feature. So I can decide to send this on Monday morning at 9:30 if I wanted to. Wouldn't recommend that. That's probably when everyone's got all their emails coming in. But you can pick the time that suits best for yourself to know that you're going to be available, and that your audience are going to be online and reading. And you can also select your correct time zone. So I want to select, maybe I would say for me, a Thursday at like 8:45, just before they log in. So when they look at their emails at 9 o'clock, it's there, is a really nice time to schedule my emails out. And it's as simple as that. That is the kind of run through of how I select and create my email marketing systems. So I hope the work along was helpful. I haven't seen any questions coming in. I'm really sorry if I've missed anything. I'll answer it in like comment reply. I'm not the best with StreamYard, if I'm honest. It's a new platform for me. I tend to stream directly onto the platforms wherever possible. But I'm going to see what the feedback is for this sort of feed. If you all enjoyed this, or if you'd like to see me like build out a social media schedule and what that sort of workflow looks like, I'm more than happy to sit and talk you through how I develop those things, especially over this Christmas period. It's going to be easing off a little bit as we run up to Christmas. So I should be able to hop on live at least once a week and give those sorts of answers. Thank you so much to everybody who stuck around. I've seen the numbers going up and down in the corner there, that there's been a good few of you that have been around for, I think, the whole stream. So thank you so much for hanging around for the last half an hour. Now is my official sign off time. I will speak to you all soon. Thanks very much, everyone.